Hello, my name is Matthew Hunt. I'm the guy that runs Boone's Overstock and Retroactive Records and Bombworks Records and Brittle Planet Records. And I thought it'd be fun to actually share with you what my top 10 80s Christian metal albums are, with a specific caveat that I don't ever get tired of listening to. So, the top 10, or I don't even know if they would say top 10. It's just I'm choosing 10 albums that were released in the 80s that qualify as Christian metal and that I don't ever get tired of listening to. I can just listen to them over and over and over, and that I just keep coming back to them repeatedly. So I'm only going to focus on a very specific style of heavy metal. We're just going to do like anywhere from like hard rock to classic metal. I may end up doing a similar list for thrash, for death metal, black metal, alternative. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, but I thought it'd be fun to come up with a list of 10 albums, Christian metal, released in the 80s and I never get tired of. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying these are the artist's best albums. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these are the albums that I keep going back to over and over and over again. I also limited myself to just one album per artist. There are some artists I probably could have put like every one of their albums on here, but I just decided to choose my favorite for whatever reason that was. I'm going to turn my phone off because it always wants to go off while I am recording this. So I apologize. I didn't do that ahead of time, but I have these albums with me in some way, shape, or form. And I will admit that a lot of these I was part of putting out. But, if you're doing reissues of out of print stuff, you tend to gravitate towards stuff that was most meaningful to you. And the other thing that it's done is being part of the reissues and stuff. A lot of these, in preparation for their release, I just listened to them a lot. I mean, over and over and over again. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of these. These are not going to be given to you in any particular order. These are just 10 albums that I've picked. Uh, the first one is Saint Time's End. Yep, released in 1986. This is a brilliant, brilliant album. You see how great the artwork is. This is the reissue that we did. It has 9 songs that I dare you to put them toe to toe with anybody. Now, could you find other great bands? Yeah. I'm not saying they're the best ever. I'm just saying, in my book, the songs on this album, it definitely has a really, really good Judas Priest vibe. I didn't grow up listening to Judas Priest, although the first time I heard Turbo Lover, or just Turbo, the album Turbo, I was like, oh, this is great. So yeah, the vocals and the music sound a lot like Judas Priest, but man, is this stuff good. Um, this one came on red vinyl and black vinyl, and it's one of my favorites. It's just hard to pick favorite songs, but the songs Primed and Ready, Destroyers, Phantom of the Galaxy, and Still Killer. Jeez. Wow. Man. I love this stuff. So, Saint, Time's End, released in 1986. That would be one. Again, these are in no particular order. The second one that I did bring on vinyl is a pretty rare one. It's not an album that you saw in a lot of Christian bookstores. It's not an album that you just saw in used stores, unless maybe you were in Ohio or Michigan where the band was, playing shows and stuff. But in 1988, the band Exalt came out with their album Dark War. This was a cassette only release. I lived in Burlington, Iowa. And I was part of a poor family. We didn't travel anywhere. So there was no way I was going to get an Exalt Dark War album. The cover art is by Dennis Preston, and I absolutely love it. It looks fantastic on vinyl. The lack of pixelation is just so tight and dense. And you can see the back cover. Scott Waters from No Life Till Metal did that. It's just really, really special. But even more special than the artwork is definitely the music. I don't even know who to compare it to. I guess if you're into bands like early Holy Soldier, I guess maybe early Bloodgood. I don't know. There really isn't anybody like them because out of all the songs that were on here, I guess there's 10, 11 tracks. 3 of them are instrumentals. But I'm telling you, you don't notice. You don't notice because the brilliance of the songs just come through. And this, the instrumentals are some of the finest instrumentals I have ever heard in my life. James Erdman, from the lead singer of the band, leader of the band, I stayed in touch with him for probably over 10 years. And we didn't get anywhere in talks about a reissue. Finally, one day, persistence was king, and he finally said okay, and he helped out. And a lot of times bands will do nothing. I mean, literally, like I'll take my money and that's it. Jim wasn't that way. Jim wrote up these brilliant liner notes for the CD, and I mean, it was incredible. It was a tremendous amount. So if you get the CD version of it, it has so much special stuff in there. Jim did such a great job, and this Dark War album is one of my favorite albums. I absolutely love it. I don't know how the music could be so stinking good from an independent release. This was not released on a label. It was cassette only until Retroactive put it out on CD and just recently vinyl. So it's black vinyl, and I just love that artwork. I just love that artwork. But it's got progressive elements, but man, does it have hooks and songs like God in a Box. Oh, The Cross. Oh man, like you just don't get better melodic metal than songs like that. And this album is 100% full of those special moments. Another little known band is Charisma. This album was released in 1985. It was my personal very first CD reissue of any kind. Of any kind. 1999. Look at that little insert. It has Sea of Dreams, which is brilliant Norwegian progressive metal. It has the indie version of Torn, groove metal. It has Mustard Seeds Red advertising. I had at the time I had purchased a bunch of copies of the Crucifer album from over in England, and then I wish I could remember what this Scott Bradley album We Believe is, or Not Enough. I'm sorry, Not Enough. Maybe that was one that was supposed to come out and didn't. I don't know. I don't remember having it. But this album is Scott Bradley. The name of the album is In the Beginning, and it's for fans of Stryper and Poison. It's like that real glammy, melodic stuff. And the only reason I found it was because I happened to be in Louisville, Kentucky one day and going through a used store and picked it up and noticed that Dale Thompson, Louisville, I mean, that's Dale Thompson's stomping ground. Dale did guest vocals on one song on that album. So I got a hold of Scott. I don't think that's not his real name. Can't remember what his real name is. But anyway, I bought a bunch of copies from him and just sold them like crazy in my mail order company called Rugged Cross Connections. But this was the little insert. Just a 2 panel, cracking me up. The CD actually looks like a record, and it does have a write-up written by Doug Van Pelt from Heaven's Metal HM magazine. And there's the back cover. They're from Sweden, 1985. If you remember, there was just a ton of just tremendous hard rock and metal music coming out of Sweden with Leviticus and Motherload and um, just XT, all kinds of bands, Jerusalem. Like there's just so many. Simpson, just those are just ones I remember. There's just so many. But when I got a chance to do my very first reissue, I chose Charisma. I don't even know how I got a hold of the band. No clue, because this is when the internet was like a barely alive. Somehow I got a hold of the band. We emailed back and forth. I paid some insane amount of money. I think in 1999, I think I paid, you know, almost $3,000 to press up a few copies of this. I didn't know what I was doing. Um, Probably didn't make a dime off of it, but I'm proud of the release. And it's that smooth, super smooth, like Europe. Like imagine the Final Countdown Europe, but heavier and gutsier. But like that, just that amazing vocal sound. Uh, Songs like Turn on Me, Guardian Angels, The Nights, Free from the World, Make Up Your Mind, Rock the World, God Bless Rock and Roll. It's just one amazing song after another. I mean, look at those guys. They were actually rock stars. I mean, I don't know how long that lasted, but doggone it. That was my very first release, and I'm super proud of it. I can't believe it didn't turn out terrible because I had no clue what I was doing. But I don't ever get tired of this release. I just love listening to it over and over and over again. So at the time I'm recording this, there is one copy on the Boone site, but I don't think we have any more. Okay, so Exalt, Saint, Charisma. That reissue came out in 1999, by the way, for Charisma. The next one is about as classic of a band as possible. It's a band that has perhaps had more impact on the Christian music scene than any other band that I'm going to have in this list. Resurrection Band, DMZ, originally released 1982. 1982. Look at these. Look at these pictures. These guys knew what they were doing. They were serious, serious musicians. With songs like Military Man, I Need Your Love, White Noise. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, anybody that heard Eruption by Eddie Van Halen, all you had to do was listen to White Noise and you realize Stu Hess was our Eddie Van Halen. It's that good. And it closes out with or So in Love with You. So, oh my goodness. I mean, you just can't go wrong with this. This is amazing. This is the 25th anniversary edition. I was thrilled that Gerda Records reissued the album on vinyl. Stellar stuff, remastered, giant posters, gatefold. I mean, they really did it right. This album deserves it. In fact, if you take Mommy Don't Love Daddy Anymore, DMZ in colors, that may be. You could argue. I'm not going to argue it, but I'm saying you can argue those are the best 1, 2, 3 punch in Christian metal. Bam. Those are amazing. And DMZ is the one that I go back to more and more, and I never get tired of listening to it. The other one that I'll never get tired of, Guardian's First Watch. Oh man. I'm going to make a confession. I did not truly appreciate this album until a few years ago. I liked it. It was okay. I didn't hate it. I knew it was great. But when you listen to something and it just sort of plays and you enjoy it, but it doesn't connect deep within you. Well, I stuck this in my vehicle one time and just listened to it for about a week straight. And it was like every time I listened to it, it was like something new and brilliant. And I just don't know if you can get any better 80s metal than I'll Never Leave You, Mystery Man, Living for the Promise, Miracle, One of a Kind, Marching On, and it's got the 2 bonus tracks from California Metal compilation on there too. It's not listed on there. I had that come up the other day in an email. Somebody bought the album. He said, "Where are those 2 California Metal tracks?" And I actually had to pull the CD out and make sure because I mean I'm just used to throwing it in and listening to it. But you know, if you like Striper, Barren Cross, um, I don't know. It's just some great stuff. This is an album that is fantastic. Now, part of the reason I got into it is because we did this reissue. First, we reissued it as a digipack in 2009, and then we repackaged it into a jewel case with a ton of liner notes and pages in the booklet, remastered by Rob Caldwell. And maybe the remaster actually helped me to really absorb the album. But once I did, oh my gosh, this is the one that I go back to over and over and over. Don't ever get tired of it. All right, the next one. This one's a really special one to me. Um, Absolutely thrilled that I got to be part of doing a reissue for it. Um, Sort of a dream come true. I love the band. I love the guys in the band. But I love this album too. And that comes out. Oh, that comes out with Bloodgood's self-titled that was released in 1986. This took the world by storm, good lord. You know, blood drops, the metallic logo. I mean, hello Christian bookstore. How do you like this? Selling to the soccer moms. But I mean, we got Soldier of Peace, Demon on the Run, Black Snake killing the beast. Ugh, wow. Like it just doesn't get any better than this. So in 2019, we did the remastered reissue. It looks and sounds brilliant. Recently, Girder did the self-titled and Detonation vinyl reissues, and they're phenomenal. I highly recommend them, but this is an album that I absolutely keep going back to, and I never get tired of. Bloodgood's 1986 self-titled release. The next one, this was a band I heard a lot about, read a lot about it. It was before internet. I didn't have a lot of options. I lived in a small town. It was hard to get stuff, but miraculously, I came across a cassette copy of White Cross, 1987. Now, this is a Mexican reissue. I don't know how legit it is. The music sounds fine. The CD face looks fine. The packaging is, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's okay. You know, the pure metal releases and Star Song versions are real hard to find and kind of pricey. So this is a more affordable option. I think we have a few of them at the time of this recording on the site. But the 1987 album was re-recorded in 2005. They re-recorded the album because they couldn't get the rights to the music of the self-titled, so they just decided to re-record the whole thing. And so it actually has a bunch of bonus tracks on there, some guitar solos by Rex Carroll. I didn't know who Rat was, but I knew who White Cross was, and I sure as heck loved White Cross. It didn't take long before every song on this album I could sing by heart, and Rex's guitar work. I would say on these albums, this 1987 album, me personally, just me personally, Rex's guitar work on there it's my favorite of any guitarist ever. And the fact that I can sing every song word for word all the way through, I never get tired of that album, and I never will. All right. The next one is a band that I couldn't be happier that I learned about through Heaven's Metal and White Throne magazine, and that is Bride. Live to Die. Oh my goodness. Look at that artwork. Isn't that amazing? I just love the texture on there. But the songs are what make it really special. Hell No, Metal Might, Out for Blood, Live to Die, Fire and Brimstone, Whiskey Seed, Here Comes the Bride. And I don't know if they could have closed with any more of a mic drop. than Heroes. One of the greatest 80s metal songs, Christian 80s metal songs ever. This album was an unbelievable step forward after Show No Mercy, and I love Show No Mercy. Loved it then, loved it now, love it now. But we have a few copies of this available, but it's absolutely worth getting at all costs. It's an album that I never get tired of. I am almost 51 years old, and I love that album, and I'm glad I get to live with it. Okay, I've got two left. I'm going to leave the heavier one for last. But the next one is an album that was released in 1987. I think maybe 86 or 87. I think 87. And that is Triton, Celestial Messenger. A brilliant album. Brilliant album. Look at that artwork. And yeah, it does sound like Rush, and I don't think you should be ashamed of that. That is great. That's Pastor Larry Dean there in the middle. The guys behind him, this power trio out of Chicago, they conjured forth some magic with this debut release of Triton, originally released on REX Records. You cannot go wrong with Mr. Electric, It's War, Rip Van Winkle, Genesis. Like, wow, wow. And you know, as I think about the power of this album, the musicianship is phenomenal. The writing is fantastic. The songs are filled with hooks. So it's not just prog rock that's self-indulgent. It's actually, these are great songs. And you know, when we did this gold disc reissue, I listened to it a ton. I mean, a ton, especially with the remaster and the 3 bonus tracks. And I just was stunned at how charming the album was. Not just technically proficient and just great musicianship, but just, I don't know. There's just something about it that's hard not to love this album. And for that very reason, this gets regular rotation in my playlist. So I love Triton Celestial Messenger. I highly recommend it. Keep those spins coming for me. And last but not least, number 10. Oh my gosh. Sacred Warrior, Master's Command. Now there's been a couple of reissues of this. Both are good. Rox did a digipack version. This is the gold disc version and jewel case. Remastered, part of the Metal Icon series. I have to admit though, I didn't start out loving this album. I was totally a Rebellion guy, you know, because that was my introduction to the band and, you know, black metal and all those great songs on there. I really thought I would pick that. But as I really thought about it, even though I came to this album, Sacred Warrior Master's Command, released in 1989 on Intense Records, even though I came to it later in life, because when it first came out, I kind of was not really into Christian metal a lot. I took like kind of a brief break. It wasn't really a break. It's just I had other things going on. So just some things slipped by me. That was one of them. And it took me years before I went back and really gave this album the time and that it needed, especially with Rox's reissue and this one. It's just spent a ton of time in my vehicle. I've spent a ton of time listening to it, and songs like Master's Command, Beyond the Mountain. Oh my gosh, what tremendous metal anthems. Paradise might be my favorite one of all, but I love The Flood that has Roger Martinez on the vocals, and I'm not really much of a praise and worship hard music guy, but doggone it, holy, holy, holy. I mean, it's inspirational. What can I say? I'm very proud of the work that the band did on this album, and I literally like it so much that, you know, one could argue this is the greatest Christian metal album ever. It's just that good. It's just that good. I'm not going to argue that today, but I definitely think it's up there. And out of the band's entire catalog, of which nothing's less than a 10 out of 10, this one just might be an 11 or 10 and a half. It's just the one that I keep going back to over and over again. Well, there you have it. And I'm thrilled that you chose to join us. Um, the purpose of this isn't to conjure up sales, but if you do want those albums, most of them can be found on eBay, on Amazon, um, at boonsoverstock.com, and many of them also at girdermusic.com as well. So I highly recommend you check those albums out. Check out the songs on YouTube. If and a lot of our listings and Girder's listings have videos there that you can just click on when you're right there. It doesn't even take you away. So I encourage you to make a comment. I encourage you to subscribe. I encourage you to like, and I encourage you to share. So thank you for being supportive. Thank you for giving us a reason to put out this great music. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Thanks so much.